Hey guys, it's Dave, aka Finance Guy, and if you've been following along, I've been 54 bucks rating on EverQuest, a local install on my computer, a EQ emulator. We're not going to raid right now. I'm going to actually show you some resources that I use to kind of figure out how to set up like what targets to hit and how well to gear my guys, and basically before moving on to the next target. So I'm going to go down to Chrome and I have three tabs open. We'll kind of go through them pretty quickly, but I'll spend some time. So mqemulator.net is where your database is sourced from initially, unless you make changes. So you can actually look up any mob item. You pretty much look up anything in the game. AOE, I think you like look up AOEs. So like, let's see if I can type in the zone name. Yeah, you can even type in zone names. Like Vextall is like one zone I've been hunting in recently. I'm gonna make some videos for that. You can kind of see stuff about it, the NPCs, spawn locations, all the items in it, things you can forage. You can type in like mob names, like I don't know, Lord Naga. Wow, I can't type Lord Nagafin, and you can see that, and we can get him up, and we can see, like everything about him. And a lot of these are accurate to live. They're trying to make this as accurate to live as possible. So even if you play on live and you want to mess around, these are good to know, right? I don't know if all the drop charts are equal on live, but at least what we know is that the stats should be equal. So, yeah. So mqemulator.net is one place where I get a lot of my information. You can also go to downloads and you can find EverQuest here. You can find for which client. I think Reign of Fear is the best client to use. And there's also the different builds. I'm pretty sure I'm using PEQ, the Grand Creations build, because I'm following those rules. But yeah, that's one website that I get a lot of stuff from. There's probably some other stuff you can do in here too. EQprogression.com is another website I get information from. So there's some stuff things that I follow the most would probably be like this, class guides and epics. So like say you want to do your epic for one of the classes, you can actually see how useful the epics are. If you're doing progression, so the emulator I'm on only goes up to Omens of War. It might actually hit Dragons of Norwrath now. I think they're working on it. But you kind of figure out, is it worth your while to get the epic based on what expansion you're playing out until, or how long you're going to spend in each expansion. This guy actually has a video right here, talks about it in more detail. You can kind of see what the epics do, a little bit more about them, kind of help you pick whether you want them. He has an Epic 2.0 video too, or Epic 2.0 usefulness. You can see even up until like level 90 plus, like if you're playing on live. The epics are all very useful. It seems like the wizard epic is the least useful. But it looks like everything else is fairly good stuff. And you, again, see that. But also importantly, and I actually wasn't using this when I first started boxing on my computer, you can actually look up stuff like this to deep dive into each expansion you're in. So I'm just gonna look at Warrior for now, just because I main tank the whole raid. It's just easier to drive with the tank. So you can go to Best in Slot Classic, and this guy who wrote this guide is going into like what he feels, and I pretty much agree with him, is the best in slot for each thing. He put the shield as your offhand. I would probably use a Bloodfire, honestly, but he says you could do this, or the shield. But you can see, like, you can actually go through it. It tells you where to find each item, which is great. It's not. I've noticed a couple errors here and there, but generally, like, he's spot on. You can see where to get everything, and you can highlight it to get the stats, which is even more awesome. And then up here, you can see kind of what your final stats would look like unbuffed. And then, so that's Classic, for example. And maybe you're like, okay, well, I'm done with Classic, so I want to do Kunark now. What's Kunark look like? And come in here, you see actually you gain 10 levels. The hit points went up by, I think it was about 1,500. This is the new AC model, so we use the one number on my emulator that I'm using, and one attack number, but that's okay. You can kind of see more best in slot here, and so on and so forth. And then you can come over to raid strategies, and you actually look at the strategies for each raid. And This is a little off. So like 105k health. Vox doesn't have that on on the EQ emulator because there is no mitigation of the mighty MOTM. So this is also a little off. But what you can kind of quickly see is sometimes they provide a little bit of strats, like calls all alive mobs in zone to him upon engage. So like if you've never fought Kazakh's duel, you will know that when you engage him, any living mobs walk towards him and then aggro you. So these strategies, I guess you can kind of figure it out on just looking at the MQ emulator database. But there's just some things here. Another cool thing that this guy has is, let's see if I can find it. Let's go back here again. Let's go back to Warrior. Excuse me. I'll try it again. You can go to Eldon raid augments. So if you're in the Eldon expansion or level 70, maybe your Omens of War, Gates of Discord, Planes of Power, you can kind of see where to get some of the best augments. It's for Type 8, which are for raid gear. So that's always nice too. And again, you can check for any class. So that's another place I get information from. And then we got raidloot.com, and you can actually come in here and you can. This is good for live, by the way. You go to items, you go to armor sets, and again, I'll pick warrior. And I'm just going to say you can go as high as whatever live has up to. I think it's level 125. We'll just say level 60 because that's kind of what I'm doing right now. You actually see some of the armor sets, and at where I'm at, I'm not going higher than SOL, but you can see this armor sets. Let me sort by armor class. So you can see the highest that I'm really accessing is Kale armor, but that's obviously not true because I'm fighting like raid mobs that drop better. But you could actually come in here and see this. You can go to raid over here. You can see all the expansions from Larian's Song all the way down to the original game. And I'm on Shadows of Lachlan, so I can come in here and maybe I'm going to hit Trace a Temple. So I can come in here and I can see for a warrior, and you can actually do all. So let's switch to all. You can actually see everyone's loot. And this is obviously not all the stats. Like I'll just go down to Archlich, because we just fought him a little while ago. You can click here. You can actually see the item right here. And it's a really neat area to see everything for everyone. And it can help you kind of build where to get the best stuff if you're not necessarily using, this site. Maybe you can't get a slot yet. Like maybe you can't break into Vextall when you're on the Shadows of Lachlan expansion because it's too hard, or you're keying if you're doing keys yourself, or maybe you're in Planes of Power and you can't do the elemental planes yet. Maybe you're working your way through them, or you're not in Plane of Time yet. So you can come on this site and see all this cool stuff. Now, maybe you're not a raider. Maybe you're like how I used to be, where maybe you're playing a full group, right? Maybe you're playing 6 characters at once. And I do that a lot on live, and I enjoy it a lot. I love going through the expansions on the group content. So you can come to group content and basically do the same thing. It doesn't go back as far, so unfortunately, I think you can get back into Gates of Discord, and that's it. And Omens of War, so Velius and stuff doesn't show up here. So if you're doing early expansions, you're going to be kind of on your own. But you can kind of see like what's available for one groupable mobs, and same idea. I think this is more useful in the later expansions. Like say you start like Seeds of Destruction, which has happened to be my favorite expansion on live, and this is not on an emulator. This is on live. If you're 6-boxing on live with you're not supposed to use MacroQuest, but some people use IS Boxer, and I don't think they've come after too much of us for that. I'm not gonna say one way or the other, obviously, because I don't want anyone to get in trouble. I think as long as you're not automating and botting and AFK, I just don't think they mind. But again, don't take my word for it. But again, you can kind of see the loot you can get and where they come from and who drops it. So yeah, that was just kind of a little quick video where I get some of my information from. I want to do at least one video every few weeks where I'm not rating. I'm just kind of showing you a little more about what I do. I know some people have asked for a setup video. They did a setup in the macro video, but I'll just show you this again real fast. I'll come back to that update. You can kind of see my server admin page. This is Spire. You can look it up on Google. I had a previous video where I show you how to download this, but this is kind of the main page and where things are ran. And I showed in a previous video all these server rules you can update to really customize your server any way you want. You can change things like wizard crit chance if you want to change the crit chance, or you know, um, making you can give yourself more experience, or you can make out of combat regeneration happen faster. So like on my server, it doesn't take 5 minutes to fast regen after killing a raid target. It's just 30 seconds, like every target. It's just easier. I just don't want to wait for 5 minutes. You can also back up your server every day if you wish, but coming here, which is good because you don't want something to break. You can check the logs in case you are having like people play on your server with you, and you want to make sure no one's doing something they shouldn't be. And yeah, there's just a lot of stuff you can do, and I'm not gonna make a whole walkthrough of this just because I don't understand half of it. I just got it working and I changed a few rules, but yeah, this is this is cool stuff, and I can't believe I finally found out how to play EverQuest by myself as a raider because I just don't have time in my life, to commit to a real group. And it's not that I'm like antisocial or like I'm have no life. It's just I'm very busy in real life, and this is the easiest way for me to enjoy the game. So yeah, if you like this video, please like, comment, share, subscribe. I'll make more informational videos when I'm not raiding. And if you have like a question about something that I haven't covered, like in this video or any other informational videos, please just let me know, and I will try my best to accommodate, because I really want to spread this way of playing EverQuest where you are by yourself and you can have a big play, like a big 54-man team, or maybe like a 6-man team or 18 people, because there are other ways to play EverQuest, and I'll get off my soapbox, but there are other ways to play the game besides logging in and looking for group all the time and having to be with a guild if you just don't have the time or resources to play with a guild. So yeah, talk to you guys soon.